Christmas was on its way. Lovely, glorious, beautiful Christmas around which the entire kid year revolved.
A Christmas Story is a 1983 Christmas family film directed by Bob Clark, based on the 1966 book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash by Gene Shepard. The movie would receive positive reviews, some box office success, and would eventually be regarded as one of the greatest Christmas films of all time. Adult Ralphie Parker, voiced by Gene Shepard, narrates the story of when he was a 9-year-old boy played by Peter Billingsley. He tells several short vignettes about his family in the small fictional town of Homan in northern Indiana during the Christmas holiday season in December 1939. Ralphie and his little brother Randy, played by Ian Petrella, are excited for Christmas. Ralphie desperately wants a Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle BB gun. He tells this to his mother, Mrs. Parker, played by Melinda Dillon, who immediately says, "No way."
What would you like for Christmas?
Horrified, I heard myself blurt it out.
I want an official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle.
Ooh.
No. Shoot your eye out.
Oh no, it was the classic mother BB gun block. You'll shoot your eye out. That deadly phrase, uttered many times before by hundreds of mothers, was not surmountable by any means known to kiddom.
Ralphie continues to try and leave hints for his parents, including his father, played by Darren McGavin.
Meanwhile, I struggled for exactly the right BB gun hint. It had to be firm, but subtle.
Flex says he saw some grizzly bears near Pulaski's candy store.
I could tell I was in imminent danger of overplaying my hand. Casually, I switched tactics.
Hey, Dad. I'll bet you never guess what I got you for Christmas.
A new furnace.
That's a good one, Dad.
Various humorous vignettes show major events throughout the holiday season, including his father's winning a major award in a newspaper contest, which turns out to be a table lamp in the shape of a woman's leg wearing fishnet stockings.
Statue?
Yeah, statue!
Yeah, statue.
Ralphie?
My mother was trying to insinuate herself between us and the statue.
Holy smoke with you! Do you know what this is? This is a lamp!
It was indeed a
Isn't
lamp.
that great? What a great lamp!
No.
Or Ralphie eagerly checking the mail day after day for his little orphan Annie secret decoder ring.
Every pore vibrated. It was almost clear. Yes, 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 yes.
Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Ovaltine? A crummy commercial? Son of a bitch.
Or a visit to Higbee's department store where Ralphie attempts to tell a disgruntled Santa Claus what he wants for Christmas.
No, I want an official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
All of these stories come together as the Parker family prepares for Christmas of 1939. Director Bob Clark worked with writer Gene Shepard for nearly 10 years on the concept of this movie before it was made. Bob Clark's success with the teen sex comedy Porky's in 1981 allowed him to make this movie. Clark was asked to direct Porky's 2, and he said he would only do that if he could direct a Christmas movie that he wanted to make. The studio executives he was working with were not too keen on his ultimatum, but they really wanted Porky's 2, so they relented, and that's how he was able to make A Christmas Story. Without Porky's, there would be no Christmas Story. Gene Shepard's book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, on which the film is partially based, is a collection of short stories which Shepard wrote for Playboy magazine during the 1960s, including the ones about the tongue sticking to the flagpole and eating Christmas dinner at a Chinese restaurant. Contrary to common belief, this is not the first portrayal of the misadventures of Ralphie and the Parker family. PBS aired made-for-television movies written, hosted, and narrated by Gene Shepard, which featured the Parker family and predated this film. In 1976 and again in 1978, PBS aired Phantom of the Open Hearth as a part of an anthology series called Visions. In 1982, PBS aired The Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters as part of an anthology series called American Playhouse. The 1976 and 1982 movies both featured James Broderick as the old man, while the 1982 movie featured Matt Dillon as Ralphie. Although they were meant to represent a typical American family, Darren McGavin was actually 17 years older than his on-screen wife, Melinda Dillon. This is the second film Melinda Dillon appears in where somebody is playing with mashed potatoes. The other movie was 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The film's setting is a town in Indiana, but was actually filmed in Cleveland, Ohio. In 2005, the 19th century Victorian home used for exterior shots of the family home was put up for auction on eBay. The Cleveland, Ohio home was purchased for $150,000 by an avid fan of the movie named Brian Jones. Jones then spent the following year restoring the home to the way it looked on screen. The exterior was completely restored, and the interior was renovated to match the interior of the home shown in the movie. On November 25, 2006, the home finally opened its doors as a tourist attraction. Jones spent close to $500,000 in preparation for the grand opening. In addition, he also purchased a home across the street and converted it into a gift shop and museum dedicated to the film and the house. The people of Cleveland were incredibly cooperative during filming, donating antique vehicles from every corner of the city. These vintage vehicles helped to enhance the authenticity of the production design. During the filming in downtown Cleveland, the Antique Automobile Club members whose cars were used were given a route to follow on Public Square. They were instructed to continue circling the square until otherwise instructed. Road salt was a major concern for the car owners, and the cars were pressure washed each day after filming and parked underground beneath the terminal tower. The band used during the Christmas parade is the marching band from Revere High School. Revere is in a school district within Summit County, south of Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is located. The department store in the Santa scene is the Higbee's in downtown Cleveland. It became Dillard's in 1992 and closed on January 7, 2002. It became a casino in the early 2010s. According to director Bob Clark, Jack Nicholson was given the script and was very interested in the role of Mr. Parker. However, Clark didn't learn of this until after filming began, and the studio didn't want to pay Jack Nicholson's fee anyways, which would have doubled the budget. Regardless, Bob Clark said that Darren McGavin was still the better choice and was born to play the role of the father. Darren McGavin ad-libbed the profane rants while fighting with the furnace. He spoke gibberish the entire time because he said it was almost impossible for him to ad-lib angry words without actually swearing. He did this in order to ensure a PG rating. According to Peter Billingsley, the nonsensical curses that Ralphie uses while beating up Scut Farkas were scripted, word for word. Due to the film's popularity, the Daisy Rifle Company started producing Red Ryder BB guns for sale during the Christmas season. It became one of Daisy's best-selling rifles. When Ralphie and Randy are listening to Little Orphan Annie, the radio is shown to be tuned into 870 kilohertz. This would have been the correct frequency on which the program would have been heard, as the program was produced by the NBC Blue Network, later ABC, which was heard in Chicago and Northwest Indiana on WLSWENR, which at the time was at 870 kilohertz. For the film's final scene in the Chinese restaurant, Bob Clark wanted to get a real reaction from Melinda Dillon. She was the only cast member who was purposely given the wrong script and had no idea that the roasted duck brought out by the waiters would still have its head attached. Dillon was shocked upon seeing it and was genuinely startled when the waiter chopped its head off.
Okay? Beautiful. Yes.
A Christmas Story entered movie theaters on November 18, 1983, and grossed a total of $19.2 million on a budget of $3.3 million. This made the film a box office success. The movie was released just before Thanksgiving and became a surprise hit. By the time Christmas rolled around, the movie had already been pulled from most movie theaters because it had been played out. After complaints were lodged at the theater owners and the studio, the film played on select screens until after the first of the year in 1984. Debate has long existed about when this film takes place. There are references to The Wizard of Oz, so it has to be no earlier than 1939. And there is no reference to the attack on Pearl Harbor, which means that there's no way it takes place in December of 1941. That means it would have to be 1939 or 1940. The calendar on the wall during the first dinner has December 1st on a Friday, which happened in 1939. The Little Orphan Annie decoder ring has 1940 on it, indicating that the movie could take place in 1940. 1939 was the last year that Ovaltine sponsored Little Orphan Annie. In the movie, the old man is reading a newspaper, and if you look closely, you can see an article about the destruction of the German warship Admiral Graf Spee. That event happened December 17, 1939, and was a major international news event. My guess is December 1939. This movie and the narration helped inspire the creation of the ABC television series The Wonder Years, which aired from 1988 to 1993. From 1997 to 2004, the basic cable network TNT ran the film in a 24-hour marathon that started on the evening of Christmas Eve. In 2004, TBS Superstation picked up the tradition. Starting in 2014, both networks run the 24-hour event. In 2012, this movie was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant to American history. Over the first quarter of the 21st century, this movie would become acclaimed as being one of the greatest Christmas films of all time. This movie airing so frequently on TNT around Christmas from the late 1990s into the 2000s, and then on TBS through the 2010s, made it a Christmas classic for myself and many, many others. It has a real soft, comfy quality about it, and it never gets old. A similar thing occurred with the 1946 Christmas classic It's a Wonderful Life, where it made some money in theaters, but it was television broadcast over decades after its release that made it more and more iconic. I believe that also happened with this movie. I highly recommend the 1983 Christmas classic, A Christmas Story.